Hello, brothers. Welcome again to another episode of Black Men's Digest TV. I'm your host, J. Anthony Smith, and we discuss here at Black Men's Digest issues that are related specifically towards black men and how we can uplift one another. So today's topic that we're going to talk about is don't give up. You know, we've all experienced situations where people have told us not to do something, we can't do it, but we're going to talk about don't give up. And our special guest today is Moses Washington, who's going to, basically give his own take on what it took for him to overcome to where he didn't give up. So after these brief messages, we'll be back with Moses Washington. Freedom is a mark of self-acceptance. Telling the world who you are and what you believe. Loving you from the inside out. 24/7, 365. No matter the season. Express yourself today with Neo Soul Fashions. Welcome back. So again, our guest today is Moses Washington, who is a playwright here in South Florida. And we're going to basically talk to him to know a little bit more about him and what his relationship is with the topic of don't give up, don't quit. Hey Moses, how's it going today?
James, appreciate you. Thank you for having me on your show.
Not a problem, it's a pleasure.
Yeah.
So just basically give our viewers a background. Who is Moses Washington?
Moses Washington is a guy who was born and raised in Miami, Florida. Was diagnosed with a learning disability. Was premature born. The doctors said I was not going to make it. I actually made it, but I was diagnosed with a learning disability that kind of hindered me through my high school years. I was a star athlete. I graduated from the University of Oklahoma with my bachelor's and master's degree, and continue on to do entrepreneurship as plays and comedy shows and web series, and now battle rap. So my life's been a little adventurous, but it has a lot of trials and tribulations, obstacles that I had to overcome. So I think this subject topic is very fitting for my life. Like I said, don't give up, learning disability, a lot of different health issues that I had growing up and the things that I overcome. So I hope I can encourage somebody today.
All right, awesome. Well, we definitely know that you will. So let's kind of break it down. So at what point were you diagnosed with that learning disability?
Well, when I actually paid attention to it, because when you're younger, you really don't know. You're just kind of moving about. You're just more hyperactive. But I think, 11th and 12th grade, when I was trying to pass the SAT and the ACT to go to college, but I really knew about it when I got to college, and I got tested again, and I was taking a psychology test, and I got an F, and that F was going to hinder my eligibility because I got a full scholarship to the University of Oklahoma on a track and field scholarship. So I had to pass all my classes. The first semester, they gave me all easy classes, gateway, intro to this, intro to that. So I had like a 4.0. Mm-hmm. I didn't test into regular math. I didn't test into regular English. So I took these zero-level classes, but I got an S or a U, Mm-hmm. But my next semester, I had to take on the real college-level classes, the political science, where you have to really sit there and take notes and regurgitate what you actually heard through lectures, not through homework. Mm-hmm. And I failed my psychology test, and I was almost put on being ineligible and kicked out of school. Mm-hmm. So this is when I realized that I had an issue.
Gotcha. So when you got that understanding or that diagnosis, as they say, how did that make you feel?
It was very discouraging because my grammar, I couldn't spell correctly. I couldn't sound out the words right. My sentence structure was really bad. I will flip words backwards. I process information different. So trying to figure out these things and actually be successful in a college environment that's not really suitable for people who probably have disabilities that don't know about it, it became very dangerous to my confidence. Mm-hmm. And it kind of shut me down. Like I said, I got an F on my psychology test, and I begged my teacher, to change my grade, and she wouldn't change it. And I told her, because I studied for the test, I kind of fast forward a little bit, but I really studied for that test, because I knew that if I didn't pass this test, I would have been ineligible. I was going to be ineligible. So when I got my test results, they put it on the wall, the bulletin board. Dig it down. 62. I'm like, I'm lost. Like, I think it was 56. I was like, how did I score this? So I went to the teacher. I was begging her. She's like, no, with the athletes, grade is your grade. I was like, listen, I really studied. I know the information. She didn't believe me. I kept begging her, and I was like, look, pull out the test and ask me any question. I said, if you ask me any question on this test right now and I get it wrong, I'll walk out your office and I'll accept my F. Wow. So she put out the test and she asked me a question and I answered it. Then she asked me another question. I answered it again, and then she kept going. And she was like, wow, like, why did you put this answer? Then they made her pull up my test, and she was looking at she's like, how did that happen? I was like, I don't know. She said, you ever got tested for a learning disability? And I said, yeah, back in high school, I believe. Back in like middle school, elementary. She's like, I think you need to get retested because you may have some issues that needs to be unrecognized. And that right there kind of sparked me understanding that I did have an issue.
Okay, so at that point when she was kind of giving you some insight into what it was that it may be, did that kind of lift your spirits, or were you feeling kind of depressed, or what type of emotions were
I'm 19 years old. You got other peers that you account for. When they see you going to another classroom to take a test, or they see a note taker come in on your behalf, jokes become, they begin to tell jokes, so it was a blessing and a curse, but I dealt with it and I overcame it, so I wouldn't change it for nothing in the world. Gotcha.
Okay, so now let's kind of fast forward in time a little bit. So what got you here as far as to be, the playwright, doing exceptional plays and writing web series and things like that? What happened in your spirit that made you move towards that, overwhelming, could have been a defeat, but you saying to yourself, this is not my life, I can do better? Well,
I use a lot of analogies with sports because, I was a star athlete, so I know the work that you put in is the work that you get out, and I know that hard work beats talent when talent doesn't want to work hard. So I always use that analogy. So when somebody tell me that I couldn't do something, I worked harder to overcome it, because if it was a passion inside of me, that God laid on my heart to do, or I have an interest in doing, you cannot tell me that I can't do it. I'm going to learn about it, I'm going to try to figure it out, and I'm going to do it. They told me that I was the worst writer grammatically, but I write productions and stage plays, So, I'm a respiratory writer, that didn't hinder me. I know I got bad grammar on my scripts, but I got an editor. I think everybody have weaknesses, and when I start accepting my weaknesses, they become more of my strength, so I can move forward. So it's been a journey, but it's been good. I just stay focused on what I vision. I'm a visionary, so when I see it, I try to get to the end goal of it.
Got you. Now, was there anyone in your corner that was supporting you or encouraging you, or was it, basically all on you?
I think seasons. You have people that come in your life for seasons that encourage you, that strengthen you. My mom's been my biggest supporter, but then she's been my biggest hindrance. If that makes sense, because mothers always want the best for you.
Right.
So when they see you struggling, they want to remove you from that pain and try to detour you for something else. So some things that I saw and I was passionate in, she didn't like the results that was happening. So she been more of a hindrance, and I had to begin to cut her off and cut people off and surround myself with the energy that's necessary to accomplish my goal. And I think that's very important. And you surround yourself with people that's going in the direction that you're going, and that can give you that real influence or real criticism that you take to heart. It's funny, I had a phone call yesterday from Playwright manager, and he chewed me out. And not in a bad way, but he just told me, Mo, I've been watching you, this group, you got a good thing, you're doing this, you're doing that. This is what I don't like, what I see about you. And he just broke it down to A to Z. And I took it, because he'd been there, he understands, and I'm still learning, I'm still a student of everything that I'm doing, and I had to take what he was saying and either get better or get angry,
Gotcha.
So I took it as motivation to get better.
Gotcha. Well, we're going to be right back with these brief messages again. We're going to come back with more Moses Washington and more about his story. We'll be right back.
Father sets a foundation. Not only a foundation in the early years, a father is someone who gives you social, emotional development.
I feel like having a father is a good thing because you have that father figure that you can look up to, you get advice from them, and also at the same time it can be an example of how you want your son or your husband to be like.
A father sets the tone. If the father's not present, if the father is the priest of his household.
Girl's first love really is her father. When she has a father in the home, that's where she learns how to love a man. And by not having that male in my life growing up, I realized I never learned how to love a man.
A young man's first example of being a good husband and a good father is his own father. And without that, he has no idea how to treat women, including his mother.
And we're back. So far we've learned a lot about Moses Washington and his issue of overcoming a diagnosis, learning disability, to the point that he didn't give up. He was able to redirect his focus, and now he is a playwright with plays and doing web series and doing a lot of things that people would normally say, well, you have that learning disability, you shouldn't be able to do that. So now we're going to talk a little bit more and encourage other brothers out there that may be going through the same situation. So Moses, if a young man came to you with a similar type of situation where people were telling him he shouldn't be able to do this, that, or whatever it may be because of some issue, what would you tell him to encourage him to continue to keep going?
I would tell him to organize himself, get a vision board. I think he needs structure. When somebody tells you can't do something, I believe you can do all things that you believe that you can do, but you have to structure yourself to do it. It can't be just in your mind. You have to put it on paper and develop it. I remember at University of Oklahoma when I started doing theatrical stage play productions, I went to go rent a venue, and it's like, oh, you can't rent a venue because you're not an organization. So I had to learn how to become an organization to rent the venue. So when they came, it was like, hey, are you an organization? We came. I said, yes, I am. You said, do you have? Yes, we do. Yes, I do. And I was a step ahead of them because I took what they needed and learned how to do it so I can be better prepared to walk through the door. It's a lot of trials and tribulations when you're going to do this in anything that you pursue, and you just have to be ready for the storm. I always tell people this, you have to build your structure, your house, to weather the storm. And if your house is not equipped enough, that's when you lose your vision. That's when you lose your aspiration. That's when you lose your dreams, because when that storm comes, it easily separates your house. But if you do the right things to prepare yourself, to sustain yourself, get rations, so when that storm hit, you can weather the storm and keep going, then you really prepare for this business.
That's awesome. That's a great way to end our segment for today. In order to overcome any issue that may try to prevent you from reaching your best or excelling, just stay focused, create a vision board of where you want to go so that you have some step-by-steps. Surround yourself with people that can help you, but also be willing to separate yourself from those that are trying to hinder you. Absolutely. So it's all about, taking charge of your life, not taking no for an answer, and not quitting because your breakthrough is on the other side of that. So Moses, tell people where they can find you and what's next on your agenda.
Well, you can find me at www.mowashproduction.com. I'm working on my 7th stage play production here in South Florida. I also hold comedy shows. This is all on my website. The last Thursday every month. I also do artistic rap battle. We do that every 2 months, and I have a web series coming out called Mastermind. So everything's on my website, www.mowashproduction.com, and it has everything that I'm doing. And you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Mowash_production on Instagram, and just Mowash Productions on Facebook.
Well, thanks again, Moses, for coming out and basically encouraging other brothers out there. So this ends our episode, so we'll be back next week with another great episode from Black Men's Digest TV, where we talk about issues relating to and encouraging black men. So this is J. Anthony Smith signing off, and we'll see you again.